also part of like the beauty of the industry. You become so close with your cast. You become a family.
For years, people watched Victorious. The theme song was catchy, the characters were hilarious, and the show felt like a dream world where talented teens chased their biggest dreams of becoming famous. However, behind the scenes, everything wasn't as perfect as it seemed. Daniella Monet, known for playing Trina Vega, has opened up about her troubling experiences on set. The things she endured were not just uncomfortable, they were disturbing. What really happened? How did a lighthearted, humorous show become a nightmare? The rise of Victorious. For many years, kids and teens have watched Nickelodeon as the channel that broadcasts their favorite television content. The TV programs Zoey 101 and Drake and Josh had become major hits that shaped that time. However, as the late 2000s approached and time changed, the young audience was no longer interested. Nickelodeon wasn't watched as often, and Disney Channel was calling the shots. It had found its winning strategy with Hannah Montana and High School Musical. These shows weren't just watched. Children followed their favorite artists, purchased albums, went to concerts, and even looked up to these stars. Nickelodeon then realized it needed to evolve with time as well. If not, it would be left behind. And that was when it thought of finding Dan Schneider. Before Dan came into Nickelodeon, he had established a track record for producing some of their successful television programs. Somehow, he had a knack for discovering what the audience liked and how to make them smile. His TV programs pleased the audiences. However, Nickelodeon don't just want any show, they desired one beyond the programming of simple comedy. The network wanted both an entertaining TV program for young audiences and songs that could match Disney's growing musical dominance. And Dan Schneider was the best fit for whatever they were looking for. Dan Schneider had an idea with the perfect person who could make all of it count. At 2005, Victoria Justice walked into her first audition at just the age of 12 for the Zoey 101 project. She had come to audition for the role of Lola Martinez, but Mr. Schneider instantly noticed her unique qualities. She had the confidence, the energy, and most importantly, the look of a star. Schneider was convinced after seeing her in only 3 episodes. Just right then, he picked up the phone and called Nickelodeon executives. "I've got your next star," he told them. Justice continued acting on the show until it ended in 2008, but at that point, Disney had already taken over the market with Hannah Montana, and Nickelodeon knew they were going to have to do something bigger to compete. They need to follow where the kids are. It was at this time that Schneider was given the task of developing a music-driven show that could appeal to young viewers, and in turn, they could monetize additional revenue by selling albums and having concerts. When Zoey 101 eventually ended, Schneider invited Victoria to a meeting. He asked her a very simple question. "What was your school like?" Victoria recalled that she went to a performing arts middle school, and it was then that everything clicked for Schneider. It was a school for young artists, a place where students longed to be famous, and a highly competitive musical world. If there is anything I've learned about kids today, and I'm not saying this is good or bad, it's that they all want to be stars, said Schneider. He then pitched the idea to Nickelodeon, and they loved it. At the time, Nickelodeon's executive vice president of original programming and development, Marjorie Cohn, pointed out that every kid thinks they're 5 minutes away and one lucky circumstance from being famous. To her, the rise of YouTube had altered the expectations of kids towards fame. It was this idea that birthed the renowned sitcom iCarly. Suddenly, fame felt within reach, and it was just the perfect concept for a show that would revolve around young performers making their big break. On August 13, 2008, Victoria Justice officially signed an overall talent and music deal for Nickelodeon. But this network wasn't just preparing to build a show around her, they were going to make her their next superstar. In order to make sure Victorious would stand out, Nickelodeon signed a deal with Sony Music, specifically with Columbia Epic Label Group. Automatically, this meant that the songs in the show would be professionally produced and commercialized. It sounded like the perfect plan. And it meant only one thing. The show was going to get bigger. By 2010, Victorious was expected to premiere comedy, music, and a whole cast of young coming-up stars. It had it all. One of them was Daniella Monet, a young girl who had no idea that working on this show would make an entire difference in her life.
Me, here, in Chicago.
Meet Trina Vega. And Daniella Monet, While Victoria Justice was cast as Tori Vega, Daniella Monet was cast as Trina Vega, her elder sister. Tori Vega wasn't loud, dramatic, and completely oblivious to her lack of talent. In short, she was everything Trina wasn't. Trina was the comic relief, the sister anxious for fame, yet she couldn't pull it off. Unlike a few of her co-stars, Daniella wasn't new to the scene. She was a child actress who had starred in shows such as Zoe 101 and iCarly. Victorious was her big break, as it was a show that would surely be a success. At first, everything seemed exciting. The cast was young and talented and ready to take on Hollywood. What Daniella did notice, however, was that the show made her feel uneasy in some ways. Most people associate Victorious with the catchy theme song, its hilarious side characters, and its lead, Tori Vega. However, one character that is often left unnoticed is Trina Vega, Tori's big sister, who ended up supplying some of the show's best and surprisingly heartfelt comedy. From the very first episode, Trina is introduced as someone who actually thinks that she is the star of Hollywood arts. However, everyone, even her parents, know that Trina does not really possess any talent. A mystery was later explored in the episode How Trina Got In, where the entire school asked how she even got accepted. Her massive ego and over-the-top attitude were a character you wanted to push a red button or push her off a cliff. However, Trina wasn't just a comic relief. Her character may have been portrayed as nonchalant and overbearing, but in truth, she was consistent with her act. Unlike Tori, whose randomness was necessary and who was sometimes kind and sometimes self-centered, Trina's character was consistently the same. She was narcissistic, rude, and hungry for fame, but that made her unique. She was an entertaining character, even though it looked like she had no talent. So, was she really the bad person they thought her to be? Trina had flashes of talent. She wasn't great at singing, but she was pretty good at karate and definitely not wholly devoid of abilities. In addition, she could sing pretty well, but only if she sang with a group. Then there was her softer side. Although Trina was an arrogant woman, she really cared about the people around her. Of course, she might have bickered with Tori, but she was one of her biggest supporters. In the first episode, Trina had talked Tori into staying at Hollywood Arts by admitting her little sister was a fantastic singer. That one moment alone proved that Trina wasn't all about herself because she genuinely wanted Tori to succeed. Through the show, Trina proved time and again that she was not as selfish as people thought. She was mad at Kat for gluing Tori's face, but then drove hours with her to get the solvent. She snuck tacos into detention for Tori and her friends. Trina was extremely worried when Tori almost lost her life from blood loss, furious when Ryder took the opportunity to prey on her, and even stood up to Jade when he treated Tori poorly. Trina, who was invariably made to appear so annoying, was one of the few people Tori had. She was the only one who truly wanted Tori to become a better person. She pointed out Tori's flaws, taught her from her errors, and was one of the few to guide her throughout life. She may have been the supposed worst character, but she was utterly and fiercely loyal. Even with how they had made fun of Trina, she was an essential part of Victorious. She was not perfect, but she was real. However, all of this may just have been another facade for the viewers, because Daniella has spoken up about how the show wasn't entirely what it portrayed. The scenes that crossed the line.
But I have a pickle in this hand and a lip gloss in this one.
For many fans, Victorious was a lighthearted show featuring teenagers who sang and navigated the complex life of performing with their crushes. Yet, all was not as it appeared behind the scenes. Daniella Monet, who portrayed Trina Vega from 2010 to 2013, has spoken out about how troubling some of the scenes were, and the terrible conditions that the young actors who worked under the show's creator, Dan Schneider, faced. Most of Monet's experience on set was funny, silly, friendly, chill, but there were moments that made her uncomfortable. One scene in particular, where she is eating a pickle while applying lip gloss, stands out. Monet had initially mentioned to Nickelodeon that she felt the scene was too suggestive for a teen audience, yet the scene was still aired, even though she objected to it. Of course, that wasn't the only time Monet felt uneasy. She mentioned that the wardrobe included outfits she figured were not age-appropriate, and that actors were often asked to wear skimpier options. In addition, she admitted that looking back, she wouldn't be wearing some of that outfit today. Over time, Dan Schneider has been accused of creating an inappropriate work environment for young actors. Reports range from his pressuring the actresses to wear revealing clothing to his obsession with focused camera angles involving young actors' feet. When confronted, Schneider dismissed these accusations as ridiculous, saying there was absolutely nothing naughty about the comedy. Monet, however, believes that Schneider was not the only one. She noted that the writer's room for the show was male-dominated, and it had the majority effect in shaping the show's content. She also said that every episode had to be handled by Nickelodeon executives, and multiple people had to approve these questionable scenes before they made their way to air. Russell Hicks, the former president of content and production at Nickelodeon, defended the network, claiming that every single thing that Dan ever did on any of his shows was carefully scrutinized and approved. According to him, the Department of Standard Programming executives watched every episode. He also added that parents and caregivers were always on set. Was that statement made to cover up the truth? Monet, however, was not the only star from Nickelodeon to lash out. Troubled stories have already been relayed by a Zoey 101 character, Alexa Nicholas, and iCarly alum Jeanette McCurdy. In her memoir, I'm Glad My Mom Died, McCurdy described being taken advantage of as a teen actor. She recalled the creator, whom many believe to be Schneider, as mean-spirited, controlling, and terrifying. She recalls an incident where she was asked to wear a bikini instead of a one-piece swimsuit she felt comfortable with. She also recalled when she was compelled to drink against her wish. The most shocking revelation, however, was when McCurdy revealed she was offered $300,000 in hush money to never speak about what took place at Nickelodeon. Unfortunately for them, she rejected the offer because she was not ready to remain silent about what she had gone through. The Dan Schneider controversy.
The main thing that I would change is how I treat people and everyone.
As you all know, Nickelodeon was the gold standard of kids' television for decades. However, behind the scenes, the network was far from transparent. It kept secrets that would take years to reveal themselves. Dan Schneider was arguably Nickelodeon's most powerful figure, having created massive hits such as iCarly, Zoey 101, and Drake and Josh. His influence was undeniable. In 2018, however, something unexpected happened. Schneider was suddenly out. The man who had discovered Trina Vega and responsible for some of the biggest shows had quietly been let go. The reasons for this were quite shocking. Nickelodeon and Schneider issued a carefully worded statement stating that it was a mutual decision. They thanked each other for years of success, praised the shows they had created together, and wished each other luck in the future. They may have released polished words on the internet, but it got many asking questions like what happened behind the scenes. However, Dan Schneider wasn't the only powerful person cut from Nickelodeon. The network had just fired the Loud House creator, Chris Savino, months after multiple women came forward with claims of misconduct. According to reports, at least 12 women filed complaints accusing Savino of making advances he was not welcome to and threatening their careers if they turned him down. But Nickelodeon was quick to distance itself, saying that they were committed to keeping a safe work environment. However, many started to wonder how these issues ran so deep in the network. Was Schneider's departure something more than just a mutual separation? For years, rumors had swirled that Schneider had taken an intense, controlling grip on his productions and mistreated his young stars. But that's not all. He also allowed questionable content in his shows. Following the silence surrounding his exit, all the allegations that were formally made against him only increased the speculation of misconduct. Still, the Loud House was left to air on TV, while Nickelodeon tried to move forward with their other productions. However, disturbing stories started to trickle out in documentaries, like Quiet on Set, The Dark Side of Kids TV. Some of them were brought to light when former child actors and employees started coming forward, painting a very different picture from Nickelodeon's bright orange logo. The controversies Dan Schneider got himself involved in were a lot more than Daniella Monet's case. The docuseries alleged that Schneider assigned strange and inhumane tasks to female writers on The Amanda Show. One of these allegations also included the fact that Schneider would often ask them for massages, sometimes right in front of other writers and crew members. Christy Stratton and Jenny Kilgan, featured in the documentary, had been writers for The Amanda Show in 1999. According to them, they were the only women in the room, and they were told to split a single salary between themselves, which hadn't applied to their male counterparts. Schneider also fired female writers, according to Kilgan, because he insisted that women were not funny. She also said he openly showed explicit content on his computer and had forced others into participating in corrupt and inappropriate jokes. She also remembered one particularly disturbing incident in which Schneider was encouraging Stratton to make a story sound as if she were sodomized. All of these were under the guise of humor. In the docuseries, she added, working for Dan was an abusive relationship. These stories had long been buried beneath Nickelodeon's bright, playful image for years, showing that Daniella Monet wasn't the only victim. Daniella Monet had stayed out of the network's past controversy as it became public. Even when she looked back on her time in the network, it came with mostly positive memories. Hence, when the docuseries Quiet on Set, The Dark Side of Kids TV was released, she refused to watch it. This was because hearing how bad it was from other people she once worked with was something unsettling. She hadn't suffered anything extreme herself, but said the industry tended to make the kid actors grow before their time. Victorious was filmed when the star was 19 years old, making her older than most of her castmates who starred alongside Nickelodeon. The advantage she had, however, was that she had been around the entertainment world for years, unlike the younger stars who were still trying to figure out their way. She had seen the intricacies and knew how to navigate the sometimes uncomfortable moments that came with working in Hollywood. However, that did not mean everything was normal. Although Daniella Monet hadn't been directly harmed, certain things from her time at Nickelodeon had left her uneasy. The happiness they portrayed on screen was not as it appeared. Some energies were negative, and the wrong tones and behaviors have been dismissed as jokes. But looking back, they were not appropriate. She had managed to go through those moments, keeping herself from feeling unsafe. But she knew that wasn't true for everyone. Listening to the testimonies of her fellow actors and the former employees of Nickelodeon made her realize just how much had been kept out of sight. The stories from the documentary included inappropriate jokes, workplace toxicity, and the placement of young actors in uncomfortable situations. It was quite a lot for Monet to take in. However, the people involved were people she knew and worked with in the same environment. Thus, she had to look back at that time with a whole new perspective. For years, it had been too risky to speak out, but when this documentary came to light, it completely changed the way that many people saw Nickelodeon and made Monet face a reality that she had never fully confronted. She still very much liked and held on to many pieces of her time on the network. I just feel so lucky that my experience was really special in so many ways, she said, and I look back at it with such a fun light. And now, like approaching it again, I have a totally new perspective. She understood that she could not change the past, but hoped that speaking of what had taken place could pave the way for the industry to move in a better direction. Daniella Monet today. The world of Victorious is returning with a new sequel series on Nickelodeon, and there may be someone who has slipped under the radar who just might make an appearance. People confirmed in February that the network was launching a spin-off about Daniella Monet's character, Trina Vega. However, instead of being a student, Trina would be a teacher in the new show and would take audiences back to Hollywood arts. Recently, Victoria Justice, who plays Tori Vega in the original series, has also commented on the possibility of making an appearance. While she hasn't confirmed anything yet, she made a statement saying that she might just make an appearance. You never know, like maybe you know Tori will pop in for an episode, she told Entertainment Tonight. Who knows? Never say never. Hollywood Arts is still in development, and while no casts have been announced yet, Monet will star in the show and will work as an executive producer along with Jake Farrow and Samantha Martin. In the same light, it's not known whether any of the other original Victorious cast members, such as Ariana Grande, Elizabeth Gillies, Leon Thomas III, Avan Jogia, or Matt Bennett, will appear in the show. The first Victorious was a spin-off show about life at a performing arts high school alongside Tori Vega and her friends in Hollywood as they pursued their dreams. Nickelodeon's show became a mega hit, launching the careers of some of its stars as it was watched by a dedicated fan base that still talks about the show well over a decade after it ended. In an interview with People, Victoria Justice previously mentioned that the Victorious cast remains close even to this day, as they keep in touch through a group chat. That's always fun when that goes off and gets really active. And we're all chiming in, she said. It's like old times, which is really cute. But yeah, they're all great. We're all due for a reunion for sure. Sure enough, Daniella Monet's time at Nickelodeon wasn't perfect. She and some of her fellow cast and crew members experienced moments that didn't always feel right. With everything that has come to light, one question remains. Was she just one of the lucky ones? Kindly share your thoughts in the comments. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe to our channel. Before you go, explore the other videos displayed on your screen.